Do I look like a baby? I only just shaved. Clearly not very well. Are less women getting married before the age of 35? Or are less women even married by the age of 35 or even 40? And is this something to worry about? Well, no, because you are in charge of your own life and you can choose to work towards what it is that you want. But it's important to know what you want and know roughly how long it's going to take you to get there. I want to do a scenario with you. Let's take marriage by 35, for example. Let's say by the age of 35, you want to be married with your first kid, which is perfectly reasonable. A lot of people have this idea when they're growing up. By a certain age, this is what they'll have and this is what they'll be. So you want to be married and child by 35. So what we're going to do is we are going to work backwards. So if you have a child by 35, that means you probably got pregnant when you were 34. Cool. Now, for the average couple, it takes anywhere between 6 to 18 months to get pregnant when they start trying. So that means that if you get pregnant by 34, you probably start trying to have a child by the time you're 33, which is, all right, neither here or there. And of course, most people would like to be married before they start having children with somebody else, right? So let's say you're married by 33 and that's when you start trying to have a child. If you're married by 33, engagement for most people, again, anywhere between 12 to 24 months. So let's say 18 months. So if you're married by 33, you probably get engaged by the age of 31. Okay, cool. So if you're engaged by 31, obviously you're probably gonna be with someone for at least 3 to 4 years. Your partner to be is probably gonna wanna be with you before he decides to spend the rest of his life with you. So let's say you're gonna be in a relationship for at least anywhere between 3 and 5 years. So let's take the median, let's say 4 years. In a relationship for 4 years before he chooses to propose to you. So that means if you get engaged to you by age 31, that means you get into a relationship with this guy by the time you're 27, which means if you have this idea in your head by the age of 35, you want to have a husband and your first child, you kind of had to have decided who you want to commit to as a woman by the age of 27, 28, realistically. Now, obviously, if you grew up deciding that actually you want all of this stuff by age 30, husband and a child, and we work backwards that way, what? That means pregnant at 29, married by 27, engaged by 25, 26, let's say engaged by 26, in a relationship before that happens by 3 or 4 years. That means that if you wanted that by age 30, realistically, you would have had to have decided who you want to do that with and commit to long term by the age of 23, 24. A lot of modern women today have the mindset that, you know, they're just gonna have fun and mess around in their 20s, you know, explore, and absolutely, you're free to do that. It's your life, you live it how you want, and you get to know things about yourself. But then, a lot of the time, they think that when they get to 30, if they want the husband and child by age 30 or 35, when they get to that milestone of 30, their husband-to-be is just gonna miraculously knock on their door. And yes, while shotgun marriages were very common way back in the day, that doesn't happen nowadays because there's no pressure to get married for people anymore. So what's happening now is that a lot of modern day women only start to look for someone to settle down with when they reach into their 30s. Now, is there anything wrong with this? Of course there isn't. But there's something that we have to address, which is happening a lot. And I see this with women that I know, women that I work with, or even my clients. What's happening is that now that a woman is in her 30s and she's looking for someone to settle down with and be more serious with someone, their standards of men are the highest they have ever been. So the highest standard of guy that a woman would have dated in her 20s, maybe it was just fun or maybe it was just as a lover, best kind of guy, the highest quality guy that a girl dated in her 20s, that now becomes the minimum standard because now she's looking for something serious, which makes sense, right? Because before, if you were just looking for a lover or a casual boyfriend or even someone to just have fun with, then naturally when you're looking for something more life fulfilling, your standards are going to be higher. But there is a harsh realization that a lot of women who are looking to settle down with someone in their 30s come to when they're trying to date with this kind of mindset. And I'm just gonna say, there is no easy way to say this, okay? I'm just gonna rip the plaster off. I'm just gonna rip it off like a fresh cut. And I know what I'm about to tell you is gonna sting right now, but trust me when I say understanding this is gonna help you massively to succeeding in the long run. When it comes to attracting men, and not just attracting men, but getting men to choose you for long term, because look, getting sex from men is easy, okay? As a woman, that's easy for you to do. When it comes to attracting men and having men who are going to choose you long term, because there's a difference between sexual attention and relationship attention, the 25-year-old you is going to have more options than the 35-year-old you, because of what men are attracted to and what men are looking for. Because the truth is, the very desirable bachelor that you dated in your 20s, who was maybe tall, dark, attractive, good body, had a lot of stuff going for him, he's still gonna be dating girls who are in their 20s, like when they would have been dating you. Now, the reason I'm saying all this isn't to scare you at all, and it's not to make you think that somehow if you're past a certain age it's too late, because it's not too late. People find amazing partners all the time as they get older, but it's to help you understand the landscape in which you're dating in if you fall into this category. That if you know that you want to be somewhere by a certain point in your life, and you know, we have to address the fact that there's a biological clock for women as well, if kids and all that is something that you want, then it's important to have an idea of that at least several years beforehand and understand how to get to that point with somebody who's a great partner for you. And not wake up later in life with no marriage and no kids and thinking, wow, how did I get here, when actually that was what I wanted? Because knowing this now means you can start dating and moving towards that with intention. Now, yes, it does happen where someone will meet one person, be married within a year, and then they just start popping out kids like there's no tomorrow. But that is the exception, not the rule. And we can't afford to move in a way that absolutely guarantees that we're the exception, because if 2% that happens to, that means that there's a 98% chance that that's not gonna happen for us. We have to be smarter than that. You know that if you wanna become a doctor or a lawyer or even a teacher, you know that you have to start making decisions and start preparing for that anywhere between 5 to 7 years before you can actually do that. Taking the right A-levels, studying at the right college, taking the right degree, maybe doing a placement. You understand that, okay, well, if this is where I wanna get to at that point in my life, I need to start making the right decisions now. And this is no different. So I want you to think of it this way. If you're dating many guys at the moment, if you find yourself constantly dating and the options you do have, they're not looking that attractive to you, and the options you want, they're not willing to commit, I want you to start thinking of it this way. Having a husband and kids from the moment that you meet a man is about a 5 to 7 year process. And the reason it's important to think this way, because if you understand that, you will start to prioritize the kind of guys who are willing to give that commitment and build with you, as opposed to the guys that maybe look shiny on paper. That you start to prioritize guys who give you commitment and consistency, as opposed to the guy who gives you the emotional roller coaster that's emotionally exciting and thrilling and adrenaline rush. Because the truth is, all of that counts for nothing if he's not looking to build with you, if he's not looking to commit to you. And I'm expressing this so harshly because it happens so much, where so many women waste years on guys who were never looking to have that with them. Then these women wake up at 40, 45 with no marriage, no kids, and go, oh my gosh, how on earth did I get here? And that window of opportunity has closed for them. And I'm saying this to you now because you can still do something about it. You can still choose to have that if that's what you want. You just have to start moving in the right way. Now, I want to make this clear. This isn't about lowering your standards for a guy, but it's about having a different set of standards that he needs to bring. So for example, instead of saying, oh, he has to be 6 foot tall, instead it should be, he has to love kids, or at least want kids. Instead of saying, oh, he has to have a 6-pack, you should be looking for, oh, well, is he a kind, generous individual? Instead of saying, oh, he has to make an abundance of money, it should be, okay, well, if he has sustained himself, does he have passions? Because that's somebody I want to be with, someone who's passionate about things and passionate about what they do. These things are significantly more important when you're trying to choose someone for long term. So let's start making a difference right now. If you're looking for a guy who sparks up your love life, make sure you subscribe to this wonderful tribe. And as always, keep it slick. Pow.